Hey everyone, how y'all doing? I pray everyone continues to be well. I'm here with my weekly preview related to the upcoming message this week. I'll be in Romans chapter 8, verses 18 through 30 as we continue our study of the book of Romans in the series, Romans, the Road Now Taken. And the title for my message this week is, it's a sequel, it's Freedom Road 2. As we find ourselves immersed in this wonderful 8th chapter of Paul's letter to the Roman Christians. Now today I draw our attention to a wonderful and yet problematic verse. The truth of this verse is not problematic. Biblical truth for a Christ follower simply cannot ever be a matter of a problem. In that we would say something like, well, I don't really like this, so I'll just ignore it or even reject it. Honestly, if you as my brother or sister in Christ would ever say something like that, I'd have to fire up Paul's famous phrase, meganoita, absolutely not. Now, what I mean by problematic verse for us is that in the case of a verse, now which verse? Okay, here's the verse I'm talking about. Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. In the case of a verse like Romans 8:28, we can share that truth with someone in a decidedly unhelpful way. For instance, we encounter a fellow believer who's just received a terminal diagnosis. We are rightly moved to want to help this brother or sister, but we think the best way we could help them is to recite and apply this verse to their life in the immediate wake of this overwhelming news. What God inspired Paul to write in Romans 8:28 is not untrue. However, the starting point for ministry among ourselves, especially in these kind of circumstances, is not the exposition of God's providential working in our lives. A better starting point for compassionate Christian care is found in Romans chapter 12, verse 15. Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. From that starting point, we will often find that in God's time, we will be able to share in a more helpful way the facts laid out for us in Romans 8:28. God is intimately aware of all that goes on in the lives of his people. God, having called us to himself, will glorify himself as he blesses us by what he knows is good for us and how he knows perfect good timing for everything that happens in our lives. I can tell you from personal experience, looking back at some of the darker days in my life, God was still there. God worked through those times in ways that have helped me and beyond what I would ever have imagined. Had someone told me I needed to or even had to see it right then and there, well, I'm not sure how I would have responded. But God, in his gracious and loving and perfect way, has caused me to see his hand on my life, working for the good he intended in every aspect of my life as I look back. I know I can also always trust him to do the same with the rest of my life, and certainly can trust him that even death will be my Lord's calling me into his presence eternally. Truly good. I have been truly and am and will be continually blessed. I pray each of you have seen this truth, the wonderful truth of Romans 8:28 in your lives as well. This fact is what helps me keep on keeping on by grace alone.